Hi everyone, it seems as though I didn't really explain what was going on in this video very well. Basically, me and my family went down to Plymouth on a trip so that I could do some cityscape photography for my college coursework, because I am doing a whole project on cityscape photography, as you may have seen from my video a couple of weeks ago or so. I took this opportunity to, as well as doing cityscape photography, to do a tutorial on tips for cityscape photography, for example, how to compose different photos to make buildings look more interesting, etc. Watch the video and you'll get the tips. So yeah, here's my short vlog of going to Plymouth and telling you how you can improve your cityscape photography. So here are a few of the photos I've taken today, a few of the ones which I do particularly like. Got some cool ones of some buildings, got some ones for my Instagram, which is good because that's what I needed. And yes, I'm holding the mic because I'm worried it's windy and you can't hear me very well. Actually, just standing here, I'm noticing so many locations which I wish I could get to, especially like on this rooftop area. It's probably all private, but it's just a place where I'd love to take photos from. So the first tip I'd like to give you is to experiment with your angles. With cityscape photography, you can get very interesting photos shooting directly upwards up the side of buildings, such as this one which I took earlier. I think it's different way to view architecture, a way which maybe you'd sometimes look up from on the street, but most of the time you'd just be looking in front of yourself and wouldn't notice what is actually above your head. Therefore, I think if there are some interesting buildings in your area and you look up them, you could get some very cool, different style photos. Sorry, I was just in the middle of shooting some B-roll kind of stuff and I've just seen an opportunity for a cool photo here, so I'm going to go for it. Yeah, not the best photo I've ever taken, the expression on my face was kind of off. But at least that gives you some kind of understanding as to how I find my locations and go about taking a photo. I use the self-timer feature, but linked to my phone. So I have my phone there, you probably saw it in my hand on the photo. When I press the button on my phone telling it to shoot the photo, it would then count down 10 seconds and I like get ready and everything. What are the chances that I'd come across a location while shooting a video though? Like, that was completely unintentional. I was just trying to shoot some B-roll and I saw a really cool photo opportunity. Yeah, so as I was saying, experiment with angles. However, another tip I'd give is to experiment with your composition as well. As I've said in previous videos, it's cool to shoot past things which are not in focus to give a different sense of the depth of field. However, you can also shoot through things in the terms of, if there's one building or the sun or something, then there's two buildings closer to the camera, you could shoot through those buildings towards the other building which is further back. That's something I like to do quite often. I don't know if you've noticed. That's something I do quite a lot. Also, framing things using buildings, whether that be a model or another building, etc., is also a cool trick to do when you're taking these photos. Also, if you're doing skyline, you could have multiple buildings with the highest building at the back, so it's like leading up like stepping stones, or buildings closer to the camera out of focus and then one in focus at the back of the scene. I think that's another cool thing you can do. Just experiment with your composition with these kind of things. I think more so than ever in cityscape architecture photography, because it is endless the amount of possibilities. You can be super creative with it basically. Just go out there and do stuff which maybe hasn't been done before and you'll create some amazing photos. I find cityscape really fun because it's a way to explore a local city, or maybe if you're on holiday, not a local city, and to see buildings, people, things which you wouldn't see every day without going out with the intention of taking photographs. For that, I would say when you were doing city photography, this isn't exactly a tip, but more a tip on how to find good photos in a city. I'd say go down streets which you wouldn't normally go down, go up buildings, go into car parks like I was, which you wouldn't normally consider going up because it's kind of boring. But you can get some really cool shots from them, especially car parks. Explore lots of car parks in the city. So they're high places, public, open to the public, where you can see across the city really well. I look shattered. I've worked 5 days in a row in the morning. Of course I'm going to be. So yeah, sometimes the most boring locations or boring looking shots will turn out to be the best places you could have gone to, simply because one, it hasn't been over photographed if you're in a very touristy city, or two, because they're shots which not everyone would get in a sense, and you could see things which you wouldn't always see as well, especially if you're in backstreet. Be careful with your camera and stuff if you're in the backstreet, but If you're going down lesser known streets, there'll be different kind of shots, more interesting kind of shots than if you're just in the high street, in the normal everyday life. Last of all, in post-production, when editing, I would also say, if you go down to the clarity slider, bring that up, that will bring out the details in buildings when you're editing these kind of photos. Also, you might want to bring the contrast down, because when you're bringing up the clarity, it brings up the contrast as well. So be careful with that. If you are bringing up clarity to what you feel is an okay amount, but yet the shadows and highlights are off, you can either bring down the contrast or adjust your shadows and highlights. So be careful when using this, but I do think using the clarity tool in Adobe Lightroom or whatever software you're using is a great way to bring out details in buildings when you are editing your cityscape shots. Me dice que lo quiere tocar, sé que tú te quieres tocar, me dice que me quiere amar, solamente quiere jugar, me dice que lo quiere tocar, sé que tú te quieres tocar, me dice que me quiere amar, solamente quiere jugar. Sé que a ti te tengo aprendida, sé que a ti te gusta esta